Hey there, this is Tennikov. Welcome to the channel. Today we're playing Surviving Mars. We're going to go for the SpaceY difficulty achievement. Now for those who don't know, that's an achievement that requires you to play with the mission sponsor, SpaceY, on a map with a difficulty rating of 500% or higher and complete all sponsor goals. So here's SpaceY over here. SpaceY as a sponsor is fairly interesting. They have a smaller and faster rocket that requires less fuel and it carries less cargo capacity but is faster. I think it's 50% faster than the base rocket. They also have a ton of them. They start with 5 base. We've currently got the rocket scientist commander profile, which gives us the bonus one over here. They also have the unique ability or building of a solar array, which is essentially one large 40 output solar panel that only takes the maintenance cost of like 3 normal large ones. Their drones start with additional, their drone hubs start with additional drones, and their resources are a little bit cheaper. Now you can see the difficulty up here. It starts at 250%, but there's a few ways that we can make things harder on ourselves. For starters, we're going to change our commander profile to Futurist, which gives us a 10% buff, and gives us the breakthrough, or not the breakthrough, we get breakthrough techs 30% faster, and we start with the tech autonomous sensors, which means that once we build them, they don't require power or maintenance, which is going to be kind of handy for trying to figure out our expansion plan going forward. I'm going to leave the mystery on random. I know that you can play some games if you just pick a harder mystery that'll up your difficulty challenge, but I prefer to leave it on random because I haven't experienced a lot of the mysteries and I'd kind of like to be surprised there. We're going to stick with 3 rival colonies that are random. It doesn't really matter who our neighbors are. And then for game rules, we're going to go with amateurs, so there are no specialist applicants. That's going to hurt us in the early game, at least until we can get universities up and running. I believe all of our workplaces that require specialists will take a morale penalty. And we're also going to play with long ride. So this makes travel time between Earth and Mars 3 times longer, but with our faster rockets, that bonus actually applies to whatever the end percentage is. So, assuming this is 300%, our travel time is only going to be 150%, and that's not that bad. So, we're sitting at 350%. We'll have to make up the rest of the difficulty through the area where we select our landing site. Now, for the payload on our first rocket, the default's going to be fine. We're going to start with 2 drone hubs, a Stirling generator, an RC transport, 4 drones, some polymers, machine parts, electronics, and 2 orbital probes. Now, I like to use orbital probes to just take a shot in the dark and hope that we can find a better place to settle than wherever it suggests right from the get-go. So we got 2 shots at rolling the dice there. And then as far as colony sites go, I actually did some scouting around earlier, and I found that at 22 south and 15 west, we get a topography of steep, which is, I think, the predominant reason that this gets such a high difficulty. You can see we actually have tons of the resources over here. We're 1 shy on full metals, which is pretty amazing considering. And then our threats, meteors and dust devils are slight threats, but I mean, cold waves and dust storms we might not even have to deal with at all. Meteors we'll be able to mitigate with either lasers or through terraforming later on, and dust devils, I'm pretty sure those are mostly localized threats, so as long as we can learn kind of where they tend to spawn, we can just try to stay away from those. So without further ado, let's get started.
Welcome to Mars.
Alright. So it's going to suggest that we settle here with concrete and 67 surface metals. That's not a bad place. I especially like on this type of map to either settle down in this little ditch or up on this plateau, just so that when we get our RC Explorer, we can get the most anomalies possible. I'm going to drop some probes. I guess I'll drop one up here just in case. Just more concrete and some polymers, a bigger concrete deposit, which might be useful, and I've got one more shot at it. Let's go for over here.
Milestone achieved.
Rare metals, water, and research. That is a tempting site to settle. Unfortunately, we're going to need a lot of concrete and metals early on, so we might just want to stick with this default with the idea of maybe setting up an outpost over here later. This seems fine to me. I'm going to queue up some sector scans for the future and just go with what's immediately around us. I'll actually skip this one and go for this one just because there's probably nothing there. And 8 and 9. Now then, let's check our sponsor goals. So this is what we're going for. We want to generate 100 power, and this is at once. This is not over the course of any time frame, but that'll happen organically. That's not a whole lot of power. Refuel a rocket the same soul it lands. Our rockets don't need as much fuel, which is going to be super handy on accomplishing this goal. I mean, I'm pretty sure even if it was one of the huge rockets that like USA or International Mars mission starts with, this is going to be very possible once we have our fuel industry up and running and we've got some rockets making trips back and forth and time for it to build up our fuel stores. Research 8 engineering technologies. Again, that's just going to happen organically because at some point we're going to want all of the engineering technologies. I wonder if we will get engineer applicants with our amateur status. That'll be interesting to keep an eye on. Analyze 7 planetary anomalies. These will spawn on the planet and require a rocket and something like drones or specific specialists to go and do. It might be hard to get the specialists required for some of them, but assuming we roll a really lucky hand, we could complete up to 5 of them at once with our 5 rockets, so that's kind of handy. And then finally, have 3 biorobotics workshops, which is a little bit later game, but it doesn't say anything about having them staffed for X years or whatever, so this is going to be pretty much build and win. With that said, let's set up our research. So what did we roll? We've got the Vaporator upgrades. Of course, we start with autonomous sensors already unlocked, amplify, drone hubs with extra drones, which we already had, and then apartments right off the bat. I see no reason not to get the Vaporator upgrade tech and amplify, and then sure, the drone hubs, that's fine too. We'll want apartments eventually, but that's not something we want to rush to. This will probably get shuffled up anyway. It's not super important. And with all that done, now we need to go ahead and land. It doesn't super matter where you put your first rocket. You just want to make sure that you can build a drone hub. I'm going to go with right here, just because probably wasn't going to build anything over there anyway. And we'll let it come down in this lovely single speed. And you can see our Dragon rocket is very sleek and looks like it doesn't carry as much as the base game rockets. And there's our RC transport, which right off the bat, I just want to set a mission to pick up everything, and hopefully, I'm just hoping it'll consolidate. I'm not sure if that's a thing that it does, but we'll see. And we're going to want to set up our concrete extractor. We'll do right here. And I guess I could put a Sterling on it, but that's going to get dusty. So I'll hold off on that for a second. We'll plan on a dome being somewhere in the vicinity. There wasn't anything. Yeah, it's pretty far away. So I'll say maybe over here we'll want a dome. This isn't going to be a very productive dome. Oops. We just want a basic dome. I don't foresee it being very productive on the whole, just because we don't know of anything in our vicinity. I'll put it over here on the off chance that maybe there's some metals or something over in that direction. We found water on Mars, which gave us that free research, which we used on the hydroscopic vaporator upgrade. As far as what we need to do, we're going to plop down one of our prefabs here. Something like that. It should be fine. We will get a Sterling generator, which we have one prefab of, and we'll put it right next to it there. And then we'll run a cable all the way over to our concrete extractor. That's a pretty long cable for not having a whole lot of metal to start with, but we will be fine. We're also going to get a universal depot just right there with a food depot next to it. It's not necessary at the moment. And we'll get a concrete depot over here next to the extractor, along with a couple dumping sites. Alright, with that done, I think we should go ahead and order a second rocket. We're going to get a cargo rocket. We're going to want the RC Commander for some mobile drone usage, and an RC Explorer to get anomalies. We're also going to want to get a prefab of a fuel refinery. We're going to want 2 moisture vaporators to power the fuel refinery, and we'll also get 2 Stirling generators to power the moisture vaporators. Then with our remaining 1,000 kilograms of payload, we'll just get an orbital probe to speed up one of our sector scans. We'll go ahead and launch that, and let's say hello to the neighbors. So we have Japan, Brazil, and the Church of the New Ark. Nothing that we can really do with them now, although the Church of the New Ark starts off not liking them, not liking us, I suspect because we are futurist and they are supremely religious. Japan is going to be production focused. I believe most of their production goes towards metals. And India tends to be a jack of all trades from what I've seen. I think in my last playthrough they predominantly wanted food and polymers, which I guess sort of makes sense. And I'm going to bump it up to speed 5 as we just wait for some things to happen. You can see our drones pop forth from our newly built drone hub. It would be nice if you prioritized the Stirling. And we'll go ahead and turn off the dome. I don't want them to waste resources there quite yet. And you can see we've got 36 metal over here and some over here. 20 more, so we have 56 metal kicking about. That is enough to go ahead and get started on the dome. We'll need polymers with a 3rd rocket, as well as whatever we come to need in the future. I will throw down a landing pad. It's not necessary that they work on it right now, but if they could, when they can, that would be most appreciated. I think it's only 10 concrete. Yeah, 10 concrete to build. That's fine. Really, we're just going to be waiting on this rocket, and then hopefully we can play with some anomalies to get some bonus tech. I'd really like to land colonists before Sol 10. We'll see how that goes. Obviously, we're going to need to have the dome built, as well as enough to sustain it, as far as water to supply the dome, and maybe a farm if we can get lucky and get that tech early in the tree. And the rocket is here. Let's go ahead and land it just over here abouts. That is within range, right? Yeah. So the drone hub can command pretty much everything that we're going to want to take a look at least over here.
Anomaly found.
So we found an anomaly at the perfect time. Let's go ahead and check out that. It's up here in the zone that we cannot get to. I guess a meteor probably came. We do have an extra sector scan. I will go ahead and scan here. So we got a vista and more concrete, as well as revealing the surface metal that was over here. So that is not the most helpful, but we will appreciate getting the surface metal into our stores over here. I'm probably going to want to set up some more depots, just... Whoops. I keep right-clicking to get rid of it. To get rid of the screen, but you want to click first. So, we're going to want a depot for fuel. I like to put one right next to the launch pad so that it's in a good place. We're going to want some polymers back here as well. I believe this is the front. Not that front and back really matters for these things. We are going to want a place to store our metals. I like to keep the building materials kind of close to each other so I'm not lost looking for them, and I guess that's good for now because we don't really have need for anything else. I wonder if we need to research some sort of tech to get seeds. I suspect we do. It's not super important now. Now with the RC Commander I can provide a smaller drone hub wherever it is needed, and we have 4 drones here. I'm just gonna sort of put them in between and hope that they can help out with ferrying concrete and materials. I think they're trying to get 30 over here, which they'll need a lot more once I pop this on, which I will go ahead and do. We could order another rocket. Oh, one of those drones was freaking out a little bit. It might be worth it to go ahead and think about building our first solar. So as long as we keep it outside of this gray hexagon, that's the dust range of the concrete extractor, so we will have to maintain it less often. It'll still need maintenance, but it will be a lot slow, or a lot less often than if it was inside the radius and getting dusted on by the dirty industry over here. What is this? Is average grade? Okay, that's good to know, and that is low grade. So the grades mean how rich the deposit is. Oh, look at that. So we do have metal close by, it's just in the opposite direction. I'll go ahead and scan this anomaly for bonus research and to complete a milestone of scanning an anomaly first. That's a good metals deposit, so that's not too shabby. We might even be able to reach a dome with a second dome that's pretty close. Actually, I guess we haven't even built our first dome, so we could go ahead and do something along these lines instead. That will be able to reach. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure how far out we can build. I guess we could take a look over here.
Research complete.
As long as we overlap,
Anomaly
I think
analyzed.
one tile, we can
Milestone
still
achieved.
do it. So yeah, we've got tons of research going on over here. We finished our extractor amplification. We still have metal kicking around, so I'm not going to worry about that exactly right now. Although, there's no reason for us to build a dome over here anymore. So yeah, let's go ahead and just shift our production. We'll turn this off. Oh, we did start with 10 polymer, so I guess we could have finished that. That's fine though. We'll throw it down right here. And then this no longer needs to be built. Training program. With the early phase of our mission showing relative stability and gaining in popularity back on Earth, our sponsor feels we are in good position to push forward a training program aimed at attracting the best applicants Earth has to offer. Best of Best, as the program is being called, wants your input on what specialization field they should concentrate their recruitment efforts. So, interestingly, I'm not sure if this is going to have any effect at all. Scientists, not going to be useful early game, although, I mean, I guess the sooner you can afford to start your research, the better. Geologists will be useful as far as extraction, but I think botanists to man the farms is going to be the most useful early on. I guess we can check it. We did actually get some specialists, so that is interesting to note that our amateur status means that I guess we just won't get any organic specialists or applicants that are specialists. So we have our one drone hub. I tend to like to build one right next to the dome, but because yeah, we're not going to be able to reach that. I suppose we could build our second prefab. It's going to draw power for pretty much no reason at this point, but it's not the worst thing in the world. I'll put it down here, and then when we get decommissioned tech, we can maybe think about moving that one. It definitely won't hurt us in the early game just to have extra drones kicking around. This is also still scheduled to build. That was a prefab, so that built really fast. It won't have power until this dome is built, and then the dome itself will function as a conduit to get our energy in that kind of roundabout way. I'm reasonably happy with this start. I guess we don't need the food right there. Maybe this will become more of our industry area. We want the food to be close to the dome, and this is something that we don't want to ever change. We want to always remember to put a food storage near our dome, just so that we don't run out of resources. We haven't seen any dust storms, correct? There was a meteor impact over there. There is a dirt devil far off in the distance. We can see it from here. So sector B5, we'll have to look out to see if that's a common occurrence over in sector B5, the Kansas of this map. Oh, and A5 as well, actually. So yeah, that's definitely Tornado Alley. I don't know if this is just in my head, but I seem to think that Dust Devils spawn more often in the lower elevation parts of the map. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I suppose we have our fuel refinery, so there's nothing stopping us from going ahead and trying to get that up and running. The fuel refinery, right here. We can put it down right here is fine. And it's going to need water to function. I'm going to start with a vaporator over here next to our dome, just in case. I feel like oftentimes when disasters happen, even if they hit something right next to your base, they don't hit everything there. So I kind of like to try to keep a very small footprint early and then try to move build wide from there if we're trying to avoid disasters. For example, I will put a Sterling over here just in case some pipe gets knocked. Actually, yeah, that's outside of the dust range. Okay, good. Just in case a pipe gets knocked out, we won't lose power to the dome immediately. Interesting that it says it's not connected. Oh, I guess it's not connected. So we have a new anomaly right here. Let's get our RC Explorer to please scan right away. We've got a Vista, another one, pretty close. I suppose. I don't think. Oh, that would actually fit. Will it fit with the basic? It will fit with the basic. I could move again, and then our colonists would have improved base comfort from living next to the Vista. I think I'm just going to leave it alone for now. We'll think about maybe some sort of a tunnel in this sort of direction.
Research complete. No active research.
Oh, we're out of research. I'm going to go ahead and pause. Yes, we would love to have advanced Martian engines so that our rockets require less fuel. That's fantastic. Water reclamation is not important, but we are going to want to stick with biotech just to hope for the farming tech sooner rather than later. The polymer blades wind turbine upgrade will be useful, except our unique building is solar, so I imagine we're probably going to do some solar battery business combo. Let's go ahead and queue up the biotech. I guess we'll also queue these up just so we don't run out. Does this unlock seeds? Yes, new resource seeds. Okay, good to know. I guess it's no surprise that you start with that tech as the forestry people. What are they called? The terraforming initiative? Yes. Says more. We do have apartments unlocked. Again, useful. Not necessarily now. And are we still running at a power loss? That's kind of hard to believe, actually.
Resources are low.
They need power. Is that trying to draw power? You require 1 water and 5 power, so that's 5, 10, 15, and 3, so 18 power. Yeah, we got a net 2. We're -1 with this on, but that is not a big deal. That doesn't have a dust radius, so we could consider throwing down our first solar array just to improve our power generation, which I will do right there. I think it would have been connected anyway due to the Sterling, but nothing like redundancy, and putting the cable there means that I won't try to build something right up on it, and then we can extend this pipe if need be. That's really the main reason that I do that. I like to have redundancy between my pipes and cables. So now we should have tons of power, although we do not have a battery at the moment to accumulate it for nighttime. That is fine. I think I'm going to send a cargo rocket. What are we missing? We're missing 3 concrete, so we'll have that no problem. I'm going to send a cargo rocket with some polymer. And I think that might be all that we need. So some sterlings. Having more power generation at night is always good. So I'm going to get some polymers just to tie us over. You know what? I will also take a polymer factory. I usually like to start with a small machine parts and small electronics factory just to kind of make sure that I have the prefabs available for them. We can throw them in just to see what our weight's like. These are 5,000 each. So that would leave us with 3,000. One more sterling, which can power both of those. I'm reasonably happy with that. Maybe I'll hold off on the electronics factory for now and get two more sterlings. And that brings us to out of funding. How much is the... It's 200 million, and the sterlings are 400 million. Let's just get 2 sterlings. Because we can still afford that now. And we'll go ahead and launch like this. And we'll also launch our passengers. They can survive for a while in orbit. We have 8 botanists. I see no reason not to bring at least 3. I suppose we can also filter for some traits here. Hippies we're gonna like. Composed is great. Religious is actually good. Fit and sexy also fantastic. Glutton, party animal, hippie, we're not crazy about that. We'll see if we can find better. Vegan, gambler, we don't want gamblers. Fit and hippie, that's great. Loner is not the worst, but we're gonna turn it off for now. Alcoholic, nerd, party animal. We'll probably build a bar, so that's not the worst thing ever. Religious, hippie, gambler, sexy. Okay, so we need to find a couple more, 2 more botanists, which here's our botanist right here. Alcoholic, loner, hypochondriac. Alcoholic, fit, religious. That works for me. Workaholic, sexy, gamer. Vegan, gambler, loner, hippie, hypochondriac. Survivor, sexy. Fantastic. Okay, now we just need 3 more. No specialization people. You get comfort when you're social. That's great. Fit is also great. Hippie, rugged is great. Okay, let's launch you. Yes, we don't have anywhere for them to live, but as you can see, that's being built right now. We're going to want to throw down a couple batteries.
Milestone achieved.
And of course, we don't have... I guess we'll just do batteries there. We don't have any or enough water to support both the dome and the fuel refinery, but that is okay because we do have more vaporators, including some on the way. Now, these are not dust. These are where they draw the moisture from. So as long as the node that you can see that it's rotating around is outside of the gray, you're fine. Once you overlap it, you can see on the right it says producing 0.4 less than optimal. So we're just going to throw one down right there, and that should be lovely. That will give us, this requires 1 water and 1 oxygen, so we're also going to need a moxie, which could go, where? So it's right on the edge there. That's fine if we build here, right? Yeah, okay, so moxie's down. We will want an oxygen tank and some water. We'll put the oxygen right there and the water tower. It's a little close to the entrance. I know it doesn't matter, but I like to think that it does. Oh, I guess I left 3 for the wrong reasons there, and I guess we'll squeeze that in there. That's fine. We want the polymers to land first to get started on our batteries. How long can they live up in orbit? 117 hours, so about 5 days. I'm going to take the speed down just a little bit while we make sure that they have homes first. I see no reason why they can't be comfortable in a living complex, at least to start with. And we're going to want to set up some basic services. Now, keeping in mind that we're going to want a tunnel over here, I will go with this as the place to put down our services. Just because these little, each big triangle is 10, and these are 3, so we're going to have one space left over anyway might as well prioritize the area that is not going to need it. So a grocer to give them some food. We'll put in an infirmary to save them from their mining accidents, and we'll also throw down an oxygen bar. Now they're also going to require food, which is going to be under life support, and a hydroponic farm, which is going to increase our water draw yet again. I suppose here, not that it super matters. So we're going to preemptively throw down another vaporator. Right here works. I'm going to throw it in the corner just for the sake of argument. And what's our power situation? We have a ton during the day, but this is 40. So we're going to lose that at night, so we're actually running -1 with 1 battery, because batteries can output 20. That should actually be fine. We did bring an extra sterling, correct? Yes, we brought a couple. I guess I'll put them down just because not needing to rely on batteries is always better than relying on batteries. You can see we're -16, but that's actually not a problem because these will just drain slowly. And with our massive excess of power, thanks to the solar array, we should build up fine. With that said, let's land our first colonists somewhere right here. I just don't want to get the drone hub or the solar array dusty. The drone hub especially so because it requires electronics to maintain, which those are pricey and not easy for us to make ourselves for a little while. First off, I want to make sure, yeah, we've got plenty of research queued up because we will get a milestone
Research complete.
for landing the first human on Mars. So now we need less fuel, which will help us get yet more research from another milestone.
Full of hope and determination, the first founders have set foot on the Red Planet.
So the next 10 sols will be full of difficulties and dangers, but will also with great promises and opportunities. It is now to us to prove that Mars can be a doorway to greater riches and the future of the human civilization. Even the most epic adventures begin with a single step. The effect is that the arrival of additional colonists is suspended until we can prove that we're viable. So we have 10 days to keep our colony alive to just make sure that things are going all right. And we'll just make sure that everything is hunky-dory here as they all move in and immediately want to go shopping. They should prioritize this just by default. So the wheatgrass grows 2.5 food every day, so it's 2.5 food per soul. We consume, I don't know how much we consume. I think every colonist consumes something like 0.5 per day or something. We do good. We actually have 3 unemployed, so that's going to be great once we get the bar up and running. I think the bar takes 4 people, so that's also in the correct order. I suppose we're going to want to run leaf crops because that's slightly better output. And this is less water, but also less food. I think leaf crops is going to be the way to go. I'll let this finish, of course, and we can launch our first rocket from the surface. So let's go ahead and launch Phoenix 1 over here.
Achieved.
Yet another milestone. We've got 9 souls, 15 hours left in the founder stage. I missed this anomaly. Oops, let me just make sure. Yeah, so we've got everything that we can. We can queue up some more sectors. Do we have... We did not bring another probe. That's fine. And I think we're going to put our first cut in here. Join us next time, and we'll live out the founder stage and hopefully get more colonists in and grow taller before we start growing wider. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.